kind of told you we weren't going to score 40 points, like Garrett.
Well, I mean, we didn't even get close to scoring 40, so
Yeah,
it is
we
what
just
it
love to
is.
play down onto our opponents because it was we've got 9 of the last 10. We've played a one-scored game with the
They just
Miami playoff game being
they
the
just
only
they just
exception.
they just want to rip our heart out, man. Every single I get my blood pressure up every single Chiefs game now.
I mean, it's just how it is. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I want to just talk about that for a second.
This guy is a
It
beast
seems like he just rubs butter on himself.
because he had 2 touchdowns, baby. Yo, new intro.
We're back. We got the new intro.
Dude,
Totally
I made-
unedited. Totally
I made
live.
I made that like literally 2 hours before this episode.
I mean, it looks good,
I'm not
man.
gonna lie.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I was impressed. It was some of my like Photoshop or not Photoshop, Premiere like presets that I used. By the way, welcome back watchers and listeners to Talking Chop. And also, if you are a listener, go check out the YouTube so that you can actually see the intro and also so you can see our beautiful faces. But if you like to listen to us in the shower or in the car on Spotify, I get it. So
That works too. I understand.
continue listening to the show that way. God, Garrett, we have a lot to talk about today, don't we?
A lot.
Not as much as last week, but
I'd say
know.
we have a good amount to talk about, but in a different way. You know, we had a lot of like out of game stuff to talk about last week, and we have a lot more in game stuff to talk about this week, I think.
yeah, not a convincing win against the Falcons. A team I did respect, but I didn't respect them that much.
Oh, I didn't respect him at all. I was totally wrong. One of my coworkers, you know, he's a Falcons fan, and he was like, "Man, we're gonna show you up," and I was trash talking him all week. Gotta give him his flowers. So
And
I mean,
hey,
hey,
we were right.
they played a
We were
really great
right.
game.
We were right about Justin Simmons. He got his interception.
true.
So, he's just
Just a magnet, just goes straight to Mahomes' hands, I guess. I don't
yeah,
know.
especially when Mahomes is playing worse than he usually does. It's a little easier to throw an interception, right? That's what you could say.
This is true. We can talk about that when we get to that segment, though.
We can. Because first off, it's our transactions of the week. Garrett, we only really
This
have
is true.
one to report, and
It's a big
good
one. It's a big
I
one.
like this one.
Kareem Hunt
is
back,
now
baby.
on
Officially.
the official roster. He's on the
Mm-hmm.
53. Last week he was on the practice squad. He didn't play. With this move comes bye-bye Keontae Ingram. I hated on him last week, and I was right. He did not get a
And you were right. He
snap,
was the one running back that got dropped, so.
and he
And
didn't
to all the
play.
people saying Kareem Hunt wasn't going to make the 53, what were you thinking? We were just
Yeah,
going to bring him in
honestly.
and nothing happens? Come on.
No, he is motivated. So he had his press conference today, and boy howdy was he like saying, I just feel this new like I'm just gonna say aura, like the kids are saying, but it's like he's feeling this new like rejuvenation to be back in the Chiefs like locker room. He said it smells the same, which is kind of funny. But he's like,
Well, I mean,
people
I'd hope
forgot-
it smelled the same. I guess we never upgrade it according to the players, so I'm sure it
Yeah.
does smell the same.
yeah. And then, Kareem Hunt said that we're gonna see that we forgot about who he was, and he's gonna remind people who he
I
is.
hope so,
He's-
man. If we can have Carson Steele rush for 80 yards, I think Kareem can do similar numbers. Maybe even more. Maybe less. Who knows? We'll see. But
And he can actually catch the ball out of the backfield too, because Steele only had one catch, and that's a very dynamic part of our offense. Because why throw it to your wide receivers or tight ends when Pacheco was like the second leading receiver for the first 2 weeks? But more on that later. But with Kareem Hunt, we move on to last week's game, which is the Falcons versus the Chiefs, which, it had some ups and downs. It was a little bit, actually, it was a lot of it stressful. Watching that game was really,
when is it not stressful, man? It's like we talked
Yeah,
about
like-
in the intro. I mean, we have not had a stress-free game in 10, I'm saying 10 weeks, but it's just 10 games. I mean, obviously that extends back into last year. But I just feel like every Chiefs game now comes down to the wire. And I think that's kind of what is also like incentivizing other fan bases to be like, oh, the flags are always at the end of the games and whatever. And it's because we play close games. We just, I feel like we play to our opponent's level regardless of their level, right? Like if we play the Bills next week, I guarantee you it's going to be a close game shootout, right? And then we can go next week and then play the Panthers and we're tied somehow late in the fourth. I don't
the
understand
Panthers
how
are
that.
good now, but
Okay, they
they've
won
had
one
good-
game over the Raiders. Okay, we're not gonna start throwing out gold coins at them. But
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I feel like we were cursed or something to just never blow out opponents.
I just feel like Mahomes is a little bit like safer with the football than he usually is, and we'll get into that in a second because we have some videos actually. Sorry, Spotify listeners, if you would just watch the show on YouTube. I don't know why I'm mad. Honestly.
We'll talk about them, but hey, it's really cool to see the videos live as we're talking about them. You know, just a little bit of a push in that direction.
We'll describe them so well though that you'll just like have a great image in your head of exactly what's happening. But before we get into Mahomes' struggles, what did we do well? Let's be positive first. Bijan Robinson, one of my favorite players, go Longhorns, got held to 1.9 yards a carry, Garrett. That's
really good. That's a couple weeks in a row now where we faced pretty darn good running backs, obviously with week 1. Derrick Henry, who just had a phenomenal game against the Cowboys, and now with Bijan, who's also had a pretty great year up until now. I think we held Derrick Henry to under 50, and we also held Bijan to under 50. So, well, on designed runs, our defense is producing really well. But when it comes to quarterback scrambles or quarterbacks finding a way to run with the ball, that's where we get into a little bit of trouble. Obviously, with Kirko chains, that wasn't a huge issue. But later down the line, when we get into these more mobile quarterbacks, it does become an issue. But design runs, we're playing well, and I think that's up to this next guy who we're going to talk about.
Well, we'll talk about him right now. Like Mike Pennell Jr. had a big game. He had a sack. It's been a little while since he's had a sack.
Big Mike, baby.
Usually Mike penetration is up there clogging holes and making sure that the run games are absolutely shut down. But he's getting some pass rush off there. That's awesome to see. We're a big fan of him as well. Yeah. And not just Mike, but Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal. Leo Chenal lined up in 3-tech again like you were excited
He's having
about last
an
week.
Insane year, by the way. Super under the radar. Leo Chenal is balling out.
And it doesn't always show up on the stat sheet because this week he only had 1 tackle. But he also had the game-winning, he pushed a defensive lineman back. He pushed an offensive lineman back, lined up in the 3-tech. Yeah. And that was what gave us the hole for Nick Bolton to shoot it.
He's not afraid to get his hands dirty and just muddle up holes, man. And I'm really excited to see him play more. He showed flashes of that last year, and now with him getting significantly more playing time, I think he's able to show his prowess. And I mean, I liked what I saw from him out of Wisconsin when we drafted him, and it's just he's been lights out this year.
Another defensive lineman shout out was Felix got a sack in this game, which is great for him. I think it was a strip sack if I recall correctly. Is that correct? But
I think so. I don't remember the exact moment it happened. I know I was cheering because me and the boys, we were watching it at our local bar. It was really fun.
Did you go to Johnny Tavern?
No, not Johnny's. We went to Old Talk of the Town, baby. Classic.
Oh yes, I love Talk of the Town.
Shout out. But we had a really great time, and obviously Felix he's getting up there. His playing time hasn't been, I think, what we'd expect of a first-round draft pick up until now. He's still behind guys like Mike Dana and George Karlaftis. I think in the future, maybe even next year, he could probably get a lot more playing time. But with the snaps that he's getting, he's producing, and that's really all we can ask for out of him.
Yeah, and honestly, who cares if he's an amazing, oh man, we could have got someone else in the first round. If he's doing his job, playing a rotational pass rusher, he's a hometown kid. He's going to develop. He's going to be fine. We don't have to have elite talent at the first round every time. And Felix is coming on, and I'm going to be patient with him because, it's working, and he's starting to do good. Hey, Garrett. We kind of held tight ends a little bit better this week. I noticed that they put Justin Reed on Kyle Pitts instead. Granted, he got burnt once. I mean, I think Pitts had 2 catches, but once significantly.
Should have had 3, maybe.
Yeah.
We're not going to probably... Look,
we should talk about that.
Was it a PI? Yes. It 100% was a PI. Did the following drive the Falcons get walked down with also some questionable calls? Yes. Does that make up for the fact that they would have had 1st and 1 from the goal? Maybe not. But I don't think our tight end problems are solved yet. I think we played better, but that's also because Kyle Pitts only got 2 catches. Also, got almost 30 yards a catch on those catches. So maybe if he had gotten a few more, we wouldn't be talking about it like this. But, hey. Maybe it got better. I like the fact that we're putting more athletic guys on these tight ends rather than keeping our linebackers in coverage on them like we had the first couple games. It's a step in the right direction. Don't think it's solved just yet.
Yeah, I also kind of think that it might have been a PI, but
It was 100% a PI.
I also like to defend the defenders because it's hard to play corner.
It is.
That was my dad's position. So
it's also
obviously
not too hard to just give it a
turn
little
your
look.
head around.
Now, if I'm diving at the guy's chest, not looking for the ball, maybe it's a little PI.
Yeah, but McDuffie, when he got called for PI, it was so malicious of him to just be, walking backwards and getting run into by Ray McLeod. That's just absolutely an egregious flag. He should have been flagged for that. So
yeah, 100%. And then the hands to the face mask call that was just not there.
But I mean, I just wish
it's apples and oranges, right? I agree. Let him play. Who knows? Even in that situation, Falcons score. We got 4.5 minutes left. Yada yada yada. Who knows? We probably go down there and score some points. Who knows? But with how our offense is looking, maybe not. I don't know. But the last thing that we succeeded in, run game was still really successful, even without our lead guy Pacheco out there. And I think that's just due to our front three playing really well in the run. I mean, you got a group led by Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith and Joe Tooney, played really well. Wanye Morris made the start at left tackle. I think Mahomes was a lot safer back there. Just off the one game, I can't really judge too much, but I saw a lot less pressures in his face, that's for sure. And I think they played similarly in the run game. I think Kingsley was a little better as a run blocker, but I think keeping Mahomes' pocket better. Why am I saying I'm talking like a pocket better? I'm talking like a caveman. But having Mahomes' pocket be cleaner on average, I think, is more useful than having a little bit better run blocking.
Yeah, I did see Kingsley miss a run block on Twitter. I wish I clipped that too, but I mean, they're like, this is the difference between a touchdown run and a 10.
And it sucks talking about Kingsley because I've seen him in interviews and he's going to be a really great player. It's just I don't think it's going to you can be a project. You know what I mean? Like if he was this first round right out the gate tackle, I'd expect him to be playing more, but that's just not what he is. Right.
Also, it's not his fault that he played against the mid-ass BYU, the people
opponents
who he played against in BYU. Yes,
right.
That's not his fault. So he'll have time to develop.
And did he play some really great edge rushers in his first couple games? Yeah. But like I said, you're going to be facing a lot of those in the league. I mean, there's going to be I feel like that position is the position that's going to be evolving and to a point where O-line's going to have to change because these DNs are getting quicker and stronger and lighter, and they don't need to be as beefy as they have been. So we'll see how that goes.
You got guys like Leo Chenal that could even plow over offensive
on a 3-tech as a linebacker.
He's not even a DN. So just imagine what some of these new DNs can do. Garrett, let's talk about some things that we could improve on because
number one, Mahomes has been terrible. I don't care if you think differently. Me and David agree. Mahomes has been playing really, really bad football.
For his standard, but yes, I agree with that. Mahomes may be the best quarterback in the NFL, but he himself knows and will admit that does not excuse him from criticism, and that does not excuse him from not playing to his level. He knows that. We know that. Fans know that. And if you're protecting him, he needs this criticism. He wants this criticism because, oh my Lord, he has missed a lot of passes. He is looking a little shaky in the pocket. Now, these could be things that are not his fault. He's used to an O-line that absolutely gets demolished. He's used to wide receivers that drop the football. He's used to wide receivers that don't know where to track the ball. But those problems have been fixed, and there's going to be a learning curve for him to get back into his old self. And
obviously to his credit, right? And obviously to his credit as well. I mean, has the offense that we've been working with all preseason been there the whole time? No. With Hollywood going down really early, now Pacheco's out too. We've had to bring in some guys that really, didn't get that extra playing time during preseason and during the offseason. But still, there are times in the game where you need to make the correct decisions, and he is not doing that. The couple picks he's had and couple picks that he should have as well are just boneheaded. I mean, it's just they weren't even close to where they should be, right? And as we're going to see here, it's just he's just missing guys that are open. I mean, Rasheed is wide open here, throws it behind. Yeah, a lot of people are going to say receivers got to bring that in, but it's behind him, behind the head. He's reaching behind him on the run like this, but there's no one around him. Just put it in the chest area, put it a little bit outside, and let him run, right? We're going to talk about earlier or later. Too. Yeah, we're going to talk about later. Rashee Rice leads the league in rack yards, right? That's where he plays his best game. When he gets the ball in his hands, he's going to make plays, but he needs to get the ball in the right locations.
And here's another one where Mahomes misses where he misses Rice and Worthy on the same play. First, he underthrows Rice at the 20-yard line right there. He's wide open, but there are three guys around him. If you look at this next clip here, you'll see Worthy will start to peek in at the top left of the screen, and he gets wide open. There is no one around.
And if you also notice on that same play, there is no pressure. There's no one in his face. He's not being rushed. He just is not on the right foot, and he just underthrows. And
again, we're winning games, and I know there's a lot of Chiefs fans saying like, "Oh yeah, we're winning the games. It's all that matters." I'm in these group chats with you guys, with you fans, and I agree. We are winning games, but you can still desire to be better. Like, we need to be blowing out these other opponents. We need to be really showcasing. We need to get more reps for these guys. We need to teach Worthy how to, like, read Mahomes and on the same play, even though he is. Like, for example, this deep bomb, Worthy gets wide open. This is a beautiful route. I love Worthy as a route runner. Like I said, he's got two corner and a safety on him. He gets open, but Mahomes kind of has to make him slow down. I don't think Mahomes is used to as fast a player as Worthy since Tyreek Hill. It's been a while. If you really look at this play,
yeah.
Worthy has
I
to
feel
slow
like
down.
he leads it more right. It's there. And once again, if you looked back there like I always am, the dude could read a book back there. There is no one in his face. He has the perfect platform, enough time to make the throw, and he's just not making them, right? And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, all these privileged Chiefs fans. We can expect our $500 million quarterback to play better, right? And
we wouldn't be critiquing him if he not himself had said the last 3 weeks that he feels like he's been playing terrible football. And this is a stat. We don't have to make this Matt Nagy's fault, but since Matt Nagy has taken over as the OC for the Chiefs, Mahomes has thrown more interceptions than he has in his career in that stretch. It has been, I think it's up to 19 now, 19 interceptions since Nagy took over. And that's not
fun fact, actually.
ideal.
Fun fact about that. My high school team will be playing Matt Nagy's son pretty soon here. He plays quarterback. Mm-hmm.
Is that the team that you sent to the group chat? That was
No, not that one. Not that one. We're just talking about some local teams, and there was a combined. So they're 0-3 right now. This team I was talking about. Not going to mention the name, but I think they lost their last 3 games a combined score of like 156-0. So keep putting in the work, boys. We've all been there, I'm sure. But
maybe not.
That's
that
unrelated.
bad.
But yeah,
Yes.
no, we'll be playing Matt Nagy's kid, and it'll be fun. But like we said, Mahomes, we're not sure what the problem is. Maybe it's just he doesn't have that safety blanket like he has in Kelsey lately, which we're going to talk about a little bit as well.
Good point. But Rice is almost a better safety blanket than Kelsey.
I mean, the guy had 12
year.
catches. I mean, he is on a generational run right now. I mean, he's not leading. He's not leading in yards or He's not leading in yards or touchdowns, but he's leading in rack. He's leading in receptions. He is just a guy that will be open majority of the times, and he's just a guy that is not a common Chiefs receiver. Like last year, we had a bunch of guys who just be dropping. I don't think Rashee. I mean, unless they count that behind throw as a drop, which I'm sure they will. But he's been pretty lights out when it comes to getting the ball in his hands, which is something we've really needed these past couple of years.
Well, he's got sure hands too. His targets to catches, he's got 29 targets on the season, 24 catches, and he's second in the entire NFL in receiving yards. So he is becoming a top 10 wide receiver definitely.
Pretty quickly.
And if he keeps it up, I'd argue he's 1000% a top 10 wide receiver.
And just wait till Hollywood gets back and we'll open up even more routes. I mean, who knows what's going to happen when Hollywood gets back? I mean, I know it's a while till then, but
yeah, I mean, and hey, once Worthy starts to figure it out, I saw another stat that I like a lot. Worthy actually is on a better track than Rice was through 3 weeks of the season last year. Worthy has more yards and more touchdowns than Rice did at this point of last season. So it takes a second. They're going to get on the same page. We started leaning heavily on Rice once we realized what a star he was, and we're going to start leaning on Worthy.
And I did notice, he, especially compared to the Bengals game, I did see Xavier Worthy a lot more in the backfield and in motion again, which I'm happy they're going back to. I don't think I saw a lot of that during the Bengals game, which might have led to his lower production. Not sure.
But they're also letting him run like deep routes too, and I think he needs to do some of the stuff that Mecole route, those Mecole Hardman routes that Mecole used to do, like the little underneath stuff. But I mean, it's gonna happen. Rice, I mean, Worthy's no stranger to an intense playbook. He's only getting on the field more and more as the weeks go on. How do you want to talk about that play calling in the red zone, man? I mean,
we haven't talked about it before because we're now realizing it's a problem once again, right? We have had 9 trips to the red zone and only 4 touchdowns.
Ooh.
That is 22nd in the league on percentage-wise. I just feel like when we get down, we have no problem getting to the red zone, but once we get inside that 20-yard line, I feel like we just go away from what works. I feel like they work red zone so much during practice, and they get all these cool play designs that they want to try out, where if we're just running the ball really well with Carson Steele down the field, 5 yards a carry, why don't we just continue that when we're getting into the nitty gritty, right?
Yeah, for real.
And like we saw, like they just love their little sweet little cute formations down on the. It's just get on the line and hand the ball off. And Andy Reid, I will say it every single week until I see it stopped. If I see one more delayed handoff on short yardage situations, I'm going to lose my mind. We have the top, probably number 1 best interior O-line in football. And it is 3rd and inches. 3rd and 1. It was like a 3rd and half a yard. And it took 3 seconds to hand the ball off.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Starting to look like the Falcons play calling with 4th and inches, and they decide to go with an outside run when, shoot, they could have just pounded it with Bijan and probably got an inch. Like, come on. Make it easy on yourself. But, you know, maybe they're trying to get a big play. But
and that could also come down to, we don't do quarterback sneaks anymore. And that was because of Mahomes' scary injury a couple years ago. But we don't have that problem. Put Carson Wentz in there and run a quarterback sneak. The guy's 6'5", and, 230 pounds or however. Like, it's just give him the ball.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
We have the perfect offensive line for a quarterback sneak. Use it. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, yeah. But if Wentz goes in, they're going to know it's a QB sneak. But then,
they're always going to know it's a quarterback. Like, if you see Mahomes walk up there, like, they're going to know it's a quarterback sneak.
All right, Garrett. The next thing you put in the notes, the last 3 games have come down to 54 seconds combined. Can you explain that kind of better to the viewers? So
obviously, there was, 2 minutes or 1:30 left in the Falcons game. We're not talking about that specific time on the clock. It is talking about, like, with the Ravens game. They had a chance to score and send the game to overtime. They were going to go for 2, right? That came down to 0 seconds, right? Game against the Bengals came down to the last second field goal, right? That put us over the top to win the game. Now with the Falcons, I think it came down to those last 54 seconds, right? And it's just the amount of time left on the clock for us to finally put a game away. It's adding on to what we talked about earlier, where it was the last 9 games have come down to 1-score games. We are not able to put away teams early, no matter how good they are, right?
Bad. No matter how bad they are.
Like, we have an example just this week. The Bills went into Jacksonville, or I think it was at home. I don't remember exactly. But the Bills played the Jaguars and annihilated them.
And then another example, the Commanders played the Bengals, and it's the Commanders, and Jaden Daniels looked amazing against that
38.
secondary.
38 points.
Where's our 38 points?
Come on. It's going back to that, what we talked about. I feel like Andy Reid, the moment he gets ahead by maybe 7 or 10, he just takes the foot off the gas, right? And he just tries to get away from what we do well. And I think we're afraid to become a run-heavy team, and I think we're built for it. I think we can be a run-heavy play-action offense, but I feel like we're just so afraid of getting into this rhythm and this, like, ordinary offense. I know Andy Reid's this genius, and that's why he gets paid, the infinite money that he gets being the head coach of the Chiefs. But it's like, if we can win games and put away games better, going to a more traditional offense, that's okay. Then flex your Andy Reid mind when it's needed.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like our offense could be playing so much better if we just dial it down and go back to the traditional, right? Maybe that's just me. I'm a little biased because I'm an offensive lineman at heart, and I think we can really be a run-heavy team, and we have a great quarterback, but it makes his job easier. And if you can make the best quarterback in the league's job easier, the sky's the limit, right?
Well, and honestly, like, I almost like this rotation of 3 running backs that we're going to be having next week, because P. Ryan looked really good, getting 40 yards, and what's his name? Carson Steele looked really good, getting his 80 yards, and then adding Kareem Hunt, who will probably look good too. And it's just like, that's almost better that we have so many bodies back there.
And then Mahomes had 30 yards until he just decided to lose half of them on kneel downs. Sure, a lot of bettors were happy about that one.
But moving on to our players of the game, we got to shout out our defense, because honestly, they, as always,
playing lights out. They've been playing lights out lately.
They've been carrying us a little bit. My boy, Chamari Connor, is literally him. 4th round safety out of Virginia, I believe it was. Literally had another probably, how else do I put it? Game that needed to happen, basically, for us to win. If Chamari Connor doesn't do this, we don't win this game. Same with the Bengals game. This week, he gets an interception in a crucial moment in the game. And not only does he have 1 interception on the game, he has 10 tackles, leading the team, and 2 pass deflections. Garett, this guy is amazing. And another 4th round steal by Mr. Veach.
And I think it's a combination of Veach finding kind of diamonds in the rough late in the draft when it comes to the cornerback position. And also Steve Spagnuolo's defense really helps out our specific corner positions a lot. Just because we're not a team that's afraid to send a lot of pressure from really awkward spots, right? You have a lot of your traditional blitzing teams where they're doing stunts from D end to D tackle, sending linebackers through the additional gaps. But Steve Spagnuolo will send pressure from literally anywhere on the field, and he is not afraid to do it multiple times a game. And I just think that really kind of benefits corners, because a quarterback sees the entire field, right? And if he sees something that is unnatural and not normal, like a cornerback suddenly coming off of their 5-star tackle, just speeding around the corner like McDuffie does sometimes, he's going to get a little jostled, maybe throw in a bad position, right? And Chamari Connor is taking advantage of this position he's been put in, and he's been playing really well. Same with Nick Bolton, who we're going to talk about right now.
Yes, but before, I need to correct myself. Chamari Connor did not go to Virginia. He went to Virginia Tech. I'm so sorry.
I'm sure the Virginia Tech fans were real mad about that one.
Hey, they're probably rivals. But Nick Bolton, Missouri guy, man, what a...
a slight apology. I understand his coverage isn't the best, right? But he can make up for it in arguably being one of the better run stuffers at the linebacker position. He plays physical football. He's not afraid to get his nose in the dirt and just make rough plays when it happens. And he had a really great game. 8 tackles, 3 TFLs. He's getting back there, making really good plays. And that's really what's pushing our rushing average down on defense, right? Yeah. Holding Bijan to under 2 yards a carry is phenomenal. I don't care if it's on the Falcons or if it's on the Texas, right? Just holding him under 2 yards, or really any running back for that matter in the NFL, is really, really phenomenal.
And Nick Bolton was probably one of the biggest parts of making that happen. Shout out Matt Ariza. He had one of the best catches I've seen a Chiefs player have.
Put him at wide receiver.
That was an amazing punt grab. But, not only that, he booted that thing pretty far.
He did boot that thing.
And, we need him because we punt a little bit more than we should be punting. But, hey, shout out Matt Ariza. Glad he could, have a redemption career with Kansas City. Garett, it's time to talk about
the GOAT himself.
The man, the myth, the legend. This guy is taking the volume that Kelsey once occupied and excelling it to a new level. Rasheezus Christ is what I'm calling him. Rashee Rice is amazing. Rasheezus Christ.
He's so good. Leads the league in receptions with 24. Leads the league in yards after catch. The guy is just electric. He's always open. He is just a consistent threat that defenses are accounting for, and he's still getting open.
And second in the league in regular receiving yards with 288 and 2 touchdowns to his name. Man, he is just eating away at defenses underneath. He's doing exactly what Michael Thomas did for the Saints when Michael Thomas had 1,700 yards. People forget that. 1,700 yards.
That's a ton.
I could see Rashee Rice getting 15.
That was like on a ton of catches too. It was like 180 or something. It was It was like a crazy number like that.
I could see Rashee Rice having a season very, very close to that. Like,
I mean, if he keeps these numbers up, who knows, man? But
like, man,
if you are a betting man, the Rashee Rice receptions over will hit 99% of the time.
Well, they might just make it.
They might bump it up. It's like 10 receptions, still hitting the over, baby.
Now, this does concern me a little bit with how dependent our offense has become on Rice. It's very one-dimensional. I was just making a graphic today over the receiver splits and, our receiving yards, and it's not ideal because we only have one receiver over 100 receiving yards, and that is Rashee Rice with almost 300 receiving yards. Next closest is Worthy with 81, and he only has 6 catches. Kelsey with 69. Justin Watson with 60. Isaiah Pacheco with 54. Rest in peace. He's not even here anymore in terms of availability. He's not dead. And then
he's gone forever.
And then we got Noah Gray with 50 yards. But man, we spread the ball out a lot to these guys, but we really don't have a wide receiver too. And to say that when Kelsey is your quote unquote best player on offense besides Mahomes, he isn't really a wide receiver too right now, and we need him to either step it up or Worthy to step up, or hey, Juju had a touchdown. Maybe he's going to play a better.
Maybe he's coming back. I mean, he was a pretty consistent target when he was on the squad. Last year.
He had
and it feels like it was forever ago, 2 years ago. Man,
yeah, but he had
time flies when you're winning 2 in a row. Man, it just kind of blends together.
He had 900 yards with the Chiefs, so he could. That was only 2 years removed, so you never know. But
and we already talked about him. Just quick, another shout out players of the game. Carson Steele, balled out, undrafted guy. Really, we love Mr. Football. So another shout out to him. Had a great game.
Speaking of football, there's a lot of other teams in this league too that need our love. So let's go highlight some of those other teams around the league. Garrett, that's one of our better transitions. I'm not gonna lie, but Andy Dalton. He's awesome. Andy Dalton steps up. The Panthers had questions. They're like, is Bryce Young holding us back, or did we rebuild wrong again for the 3rd time in a row, or whatever, how many rebuilds it feels like they've been on? No, it seems like their O-line is playing better, and it seems like their weapons are good because holy shrimp, Deontay Johnson is a really good player when you actually throw him the ball, and the Panthers actually steamrolled the heck out of the Raiders.
Yeah, and I mean the Raiders aren't they're not terrible. They beat
the Ravens, Garrett.
Right.
They beat the Ravens.
They did beat the Ravens. I would say they're top 15 maybe on a good day. And Panthers, I honestly expected them to go 0-16 or 0-17. So I'm wrong. What can I say? But sorry. Hey,
shout out Vishnu.
Shout out Vishnu, baby. Hey, you got one. Hopefully you get at least one more. Who knows? But yeah.
I mean, hey, and also too with that, it's a good sign for Panthers fans to see that they actually have a coherent unit across the board with their offensive additions, their defensive additions, because hey, that defense, maybe it's just Andy Dalton's better leader in the locker room, and all of a sudden your defense actually wants to try and play, but man, oh man, did they shut down Brock Bowers, who has been on an elite trajectory.
Yeah, he's been insane.
Well, they shut him down. He didn't even have 30, 40 yards. Or he had 50. But still, shut him down.
Continuing on quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels throws completions only, it seems. He's been pretty lights out this year so far. I mean, the stats don't... The yardage doesn't explode out to you. But the dude's 21 of 23. Yeah. I mean, that's just insane for a rookie quarterback, especially against a team like the Bengals, who are now 0-3 to start the year. I don't think anyone expected that coming out of the season.
Why couldn't we?
And Joe Burrow didn't even play bad. I mean, Joe Burrow, he had over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Just couldn't get it done, I guess, against the stout Commanders.
I'm not gonna lie, I was really high on the Commanders this offseason, and I was starting to subtract that take a little bit when they got off to their slow start, but they have figured out that Terry McLaurin is on this football team, and it seems that they have taken off to new heights. Brian Robinson is amazing. I love that running back. Great story, surviving a shot and then going out and playing again.
Yeah.
But, dude, the Commanders are a fun team to watch. Their defense is terrible, though. But, that NFC East is back to being the NFC least, and I think the Commanders might be the least bad in the NFC East. Sometimes the Eagles are still good, but it's just like, I want to see that matchup.
It's like that video. It's like that video I saw of some guy was just the caption was Terry McLaurin catching a spiral for the first time in his career, and it was just him looking at his hands. It's just like, oh my god, I can actually do this. It's just Jaden Daniels is throwing lasers, man. He's playing really good ball.
They're beautiful passes, and it's translating from the preseason, which is always good to see. Garrett, you owe somebody an apology.
Yeah, I'd like to formally apologize to Sam Darnold. I was unfamiliar with your game, okay? The dude's 3-0 and he's balling out. He's beaten two phenomenal teams in the 49ers and now the Texans. Not just beating, he dismantled the Texans, which
it must be nice.
It must be nice, blowing out good teams or even bad teams, really. But yeah, Sam Darnold is playing lights out, and I think maybe he's just finally going back to his old form. He was obviously highly touted coming out of college, just was in the worst situations possibly ever for a quarterback to be in. And I think Vikings saw something right when he was on the 49ers in preseason and backup, but
man, I always have liked Sam Darnold just because he's shown these like really flashy plays. I remember some of his throws as a Jet that like wowed me, and I was like, where is this on a consistent basis? And it's like he's always had the talent, but he's never had maybe the coaches. I love Kevin O'Connell. I think he's one of the greatest coaches like right now. I saw he was on the hot seat in the betting odds.
He's such a great coach.
They had him at 10th or whatever because they thought, the Vikings will probably be bad. And the Vikings said, we're not going to be bad, and our coach is not going to get fired because Kevin O'Connell's a great coach.
He's a great coach. And it wasn't even like the majority of the offense's problems the last couple of years. It's been the defense. And I don't think
Flores is amazing too. Brian Flores has got that defense right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
with that defense being a lot better now, I think the offense is allowed to flourish. I think they're pushing the field down more with Sam Darnold. I don't think Kirko Chains is a bad quarterback, right? I feel like he is the definition. Same with like Derek Carr of like slightly above average. They're in that category where they're not going to like win you crazy games, but they're also not going to lose you games. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Whereas Sam Darnold, I feel like he can be on both ends. Like he can win you some crazy games, but he can also like lose you some games. Where we've yet to see him lose some games this year.
It's that Kevin O'Connell offense just really brings out the best in a quarterback. So and also having Justin Jefferson definitely doesn't hurt. But he's throwing it to that Naylor guy, like Jalen Naylor or whatever his name is. I had him in my 24-man fantasy league. This guy's got a touchdown the last 3 weeks, so something's happening over there. And
I forgot, is Addison injured or is he still playing?
He's injured. Jordan. They don't even have Hawkins.
Yeah, they're balling out. They're balling out with their second best receiver out. So
and without their tight end,
without Hawkinson, who is super. He's not really underrated anymore. I think a lot of people consider him a really good tight end.
But I think he's underrated now because he's injured on the Vikings. So I have him in fantasy on my IR spot. I'm excited for him to come back.
Yeah, I have so many injuries. It's just diabolical.
Well, and finally, Kyler Murray has been, playing. I probably owe him an apology. I thought he's
playing a lot better than he has.
Well, not only just playing better, he's been playing really, really good. But the Cardinals still stink, and they can't get wins for him. They've been playing really close, and there's definitely hope. And that's always what you want to root for these teams that are rebuilding. Some hope.
Although and I feel like Cardinals fans are seeing it coming, and I feel like Cardinals fans, I love you, but I feel like Kyler Murray, you guys need to get as much of him as possible before Black Ops 6 comes out. Because once that game comes out, I feel like it would be so funny if that game comes out in, I think, October 26th or whatever. and we see his numbers just like plummet. I'm really hoping that happens because it would be the funniest thing ever. It'd be so funny. I don't care about the Cardinals, bro. It'd be hilarious. It'd be hilarious.
Kyler Murray is already 27. That's crazy. This rebuild needs to happen faster.
I remember being a really huge Kyler hater coming out of college because he had that thing where it was like, oh, well, if you don't pay me so and so amount of money, I'm just going to go to baseball, which I really just hated. I hated that so much. That was like, I just immediately turned me off from Kyler Murray. Fair just because enough. He's just like, oh, well, I just want money, right? So.
Well, I hope that you're turned off by Kyler Murray.
Come, pause. What are we doing here?
Well, it's time to play on our Chargers versus Chiefs predictions / review / preview / this game is not gonna. Actually, I can't even say that.
Can't even say it. Guys. This is not the Chiefs versus the Chargers. This is Chiefs versus Chargers Light Edition. They have all of their key players out. Rashawn Slater is going to be out. We still don't know about Joe Alt. He's expected to miss. Derwin James just got suspended. Justin Herbert's been injured. We might not even see Joey Bosa. So, are we really seeing the Chargers? Or are we seeing like the Chargers if they were like passed through an alternate dimension where they are horrible and have no key players?
Well, and I mean,
it's still going to be a 2-point game.
Yeah. Honestly, it's still going to probably be close, but I think Harbaugh has got the Chargers right. It's nice to see them, actually win close games and play good football. I know they just lost to the Steelers, but I think the Steelers are good. And also, they might have lost to the Steelers because of all of the aforementioned injuries that happened. Losing both your tackles is really hard to win football games, especially when you're a run-first offense, and especially
with J.K. Dobbins back there. Yeah. And J.K. Dobbins has been on a stupid good run.
I thought you were gonna say he's been on a tear, and I was getting ready to say.
You know what? That would have been the layup of the century, dude. I feel bad for him because it's been. I feel like every off season, we're just waiting for it, right? We're waiting for that J.K. Dobbins news, but he's been balling out. Do I expect him to ball out here? Nope.
He's not gonna have a good game. I ironically just traded for him in fantasy, but it's fine. If
you are betting on J.K. Dobbins, bet the under on yards, because the Chiefs' run defense, especially now with both of the Chargers' tackles out, it's not gonna be there.
It really won't. Garrett, I love this note that you have too.
Yeah, if we lose this game, you will not see me for the rest of my life because I will find a bridge, and that'll be it. We should absolutely win this game. Under no circumstance should we lose this game.
I don't see any of their wide receivers getting open against any of our corners, honestly. I mean, Ladd McConkey has been having an okay season. Quinton Johnston, oh my gosh, he's starting to be really good. Wait. Oh, except, but Trent McDuffie's an actual lockdown corner that will actually take care of him. Because I think the Steelers' defense is great. I think they lack a true lockdown corner. Joey Porter is amazing, but he's not Trent McDuffie. And I don't think Quinton Johnston is going to do anything. Then again, though, Mike Williams has had amazing games against us, and so maybe QJ just does that, because why would it make sense? Why would any analysis make sense when we play the Chargers? But
another thing I want to point out, this is once again going back to the tackles being out. Chris Jones, I want you to have a generational game. I'm talking DT 7 sacks game. Herbert is rattled. Their tackles thrown to the wind. I just want him to line up there, tee off, and obliterate Justin Herbert. He should make you fear wherever he is on the line, like those old stories of oh my God! Lawrence Taylor, where they had that quarterback on that interview where he's like, "Yeah, I had to call a timeout because I didn't know where he was on the field, and it turned out he was on the sideline." So we just
awesome.
need to.
I've never seen that.
It's a great interview. If you look up Lawrence Taylor, it's just he was a menace. And Chris Jones, you've been a little quiet. I know you've been great in the run game. This is where you unleash, and this should be your game.
You know why this could be Chris Jones' game too? The guards for the Chargers are now playing tackle. It was Pipkin, I think, is going outside now. So it's like the interior of the Chargers line is also getting worse as those guys go to protect
Mike
the outside.
Pinnell's gonna eat too, man.
They don't have the depth at the O-line that I think Harbaugh would want. They do have this 300-pound fullback, but I don't think that's going to stop.
I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue.
I think that 300-pound fullback is going to be on his back if Leo Chenal gets one hand on him. So I think they're not going to be able to run the ball, and we should blow them out, Garrett. They should not be able to get anything going.
I know, and
they're
it's
not going to be able to pass it. They're not going to be able to run it.
It's literally going to end up being like 22-20, and I'm going to be so disappointed, and it's going to be just so frustrating.
So let's go right into our predictions then, Garrett. What are you expecting for this game?
At this point, I don't even know. It's like I expected us to blow out the Falcons. Didn't happen. I got close with the Ravens game. It's just I'm gonna give us the juju again. I want us to put up minimum 35. I'm gonna go 35. Go on the low end of my. I want to be minimum, right? I'm gonna go 35-30 because somehow they're gonna score 30 on us for no reason. That's gonna be my score prediction. I think player count wise, I think Rashid gets another touchdown. With Derwin James out, I think we might be able to light up a little bit. Expect a big game from Xavier Worthy. I think he's going to light it up too. And throw a Kareem Hunt touchdown in there. Why not?
Dang, Garrett. I was 34-17. We're going to win. We're going to blow them out. I'm hoping I'm for once right about this. We need to blow them out. But player props, kind of what's going to happen. Kelsey is getting his touchdown this week. Book it, call it. His little enemy, Derwin James.
You know what? That's
out.
True. He is the Chargers' menace.
He owns the Chargers. His little enemy, Derwin James, is out, and
no more pile drives.
Think they have anybody else to stop him. And I think it's finally time for that Kelsey touchdown. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am going to be wrong. Kelsey gets his touchdown. Garrett, I love what you're saying about Worthy, so I'm just going to second that. And I'm going to second what you said about Rice, because that's also going to happen. And I'm going to second what you said about Kareem Hunt.
We're on the same wavelength today,
because
I guess.
I don't want to predict against those things, because I also think those are going to happen. So, Garrett's just expecting that it's a close one-score game. I'm just saying that we're just going to shut them down. I don't think we should allow them to score 30 points. We shouldn't allow them to score more than 14.
At this point, beating them by more than 7 is going to be great for us, because we haven't done that in 9 games. So if we have be
Mahomes bounce back game,
I'm hoping. I'm really hoping, man. Because
nice.
I would just want to watch a Chiefs game where I am not literally sweating in the last 2 minutes. I mean, the heart's thumping. It's like, oh my God, we're about to lose to the Falcons.
You know what's funny? I would love to know if NFL fans of different teams are listening to this show. They probably think we are insufferable with how
look,
we gotta be we have to be critical.
It's like, oh my God, we're losing a rate. We've just won 2 Super Bowls in a row, and we're complaining about a Week 3 game that we're not beating them by more. It's like, but at the same time, it's, if you knew your team was better, wouldn't you want them to be playing up to what they are, right?
Exactly. And also,
if I was a Cowboy, it's like Cowboys fans, right? Like, obviously, I don't want to be compared to a Cowboys fan, but they expect their team to be a lot better every year, and they're not. So, I mean,
and honestly, they could be on paper. Dang,
they've had God squads, man. They've had God squads, and they've just been booted every year.
Yeah, they do not look to be good this year. I have a hot take that's probably not hot anymore, but I did not think they were going to make the playoffs, and I don't think they will now. But
it's definitely possible.
Hey, I think the Niners have a better shot to right their ship and figure it out versus I think the Cowboys.
Yeah, talking about playoff chokers, Royals are just trying their hardest to get booted out of the playoffs right now.
Yeah, well, they took a page from the Cowboys. Maybe the Royals fire some of their managers, similar to how I think the Cowboys are going to fire McCarthy and Zimmer at the end of the season when they don't make the playoffs. But
it's deserved, man. I don't know how McCarthy still has a job. Also, shout out to a buddy of mine, Sam. He had a great quote, and he said, "I hope that the one time the Cowboys make and win a Super Bowl is the year after Jerry Jones is put in the ground.
And that would be poetic. And Mahomes is already retired by then. Although actually, that's a good bet. What happens first? Mahomes retires or Jerry Jones dies?
Or Jerry Jones dies? How old is Jerry Jones? Is he like 80 something?
Hey man,
He might be up there.
I think he might try to do anything in his
Yeah,
power
if you guys
to
haven't
not
noticed, our
die.
stat man isn't here today. Rip Jackson.
Don't worry.
But
I got it. Jerry Jones is 81 years old. So, I mean,
we got it's going to be a close bet. That over under is going to be crazy.
yeah. I mean, I could see Jerry living to 100 because like he's probably got the best medical care. That
God,
he could
dude,
possibly
he's gonna become like a cyborg, like Cyborg Jerry, and just run the Cowboys forever.
He's gonna hurt them until they can't feel pain.
That's
anymore.
like Cowboys fans' worst nightmare.
Yeah. And then the next guy that he hires is just gonna be his son, and they're gonna, they're still not gonna have a GM, because that's crazy to me. They don't even have a GM. He is the GM. Like, ugh. Owner GM is not the wave.
And with that, I mean, we were talking Cowboy there at the end, but we're always talking Chop.
Talking Cowboy. That's.
I will say though, put your score predictions and player props in the comments. We want to see what you guys think.
That's a great point, Garrett. We don't really do calls to action here, and we need to get some call to action. Obviously, you can't comment on Spotify, so come to YouTube now.
Come to YouTube. Come put.
Also,
look, if you love Spotify, listen all the way through Spotify. Come to the comment section. Throw your props in there, man.
And also, shout out to Wes and Cam for being Apple Podcast listeners.
Yes, sir.
We do dog on the Apple Podcast guys.
We do.
But listen, I guess they are used. People do use that software. I don't know why you would, but
I don't think I've ever even seen it used. But hey, to each their own, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, hey. As long as you're listening to our soothing voices and watching us drink Dr. Pepper and whatever the heck you're drinking right now, Garrett, is that Cane's?
It's actually 7-Up Cherry Zero.
Oh, wow. Ooh, fancy that they have at Cane's.
Oddly specific. No, I just put it in the cup.
Wait, really?
Yeah, no, it was a Diet Coke.
Fair enough. But hey, thank you guys for watching this episode. We're gonna be potentially doing a live stream with all of the boys watching a game. We're planning on the Panthers game as of now, but it's gonna be a fun one. It'll be live streamed to YouTube and Instagram. I hope that it's not gonna be horizontal for Instagram, but it probably will be.
You never know.
We'll figure it out if we can't, but. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, thanks for listening on Spotify. Thank you to our sponsor, not anything Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet.
But Dr. Pepper, I want you to sponsor this show because, man, I need you to get through these episodes sometimes. But yeah, as always, we're just talking chop.
Talking chop, baby.